not as detailed and actually showing the system as last time, but more showing a few slides and talking today. And I think it's important for new community members and people that have not experienced praise for a long time to have the full story, sort of. So I'd like to start us off with that praise is like sunlight to the human spirit. We cannot flower and grow without it. And that is, I don't know, that is just beautiful and so true. And we all know it somehow. We know that praising and getting praised feels really good. That praising is a really powerful tool, or it's a really powerful force expressing praise between individuals. And I wanted to start this presentation with this quote by this old self-help guru, Jess Lair, to sort of ground us in that our intuitive sense, our lived knowledge about how important praise is in life in general. And that is also something that is really confirmed by science. And the fact that praise makes us feel appreciated and valued and reinforces positive feelings is no surprise to no one. But there be loads of studies that have been made on everything concerning praise, like everything from the effect of praise on creativity to how it increases cooperation between individuals. And that surprised me a little bit when I dug deeper into the science behind praise, that it actually leads to increased cooperation. And the participants in this study, it turned out that those who received positive feedback were more likely to cooperate with others in the future. And that also praise strengthens our sense of community, and apparently it leads to happiness, or at least the people that are happy tend to praise others more. Whether that is whether they become happy by praising others, or if they are happy to begin with, they praise others more. I don't know, but at least happy people praise more. And I like to think that praising and getting praised makes you a happier person. It's a little bit. But again, stressing that praise leads to increased cooperation and creates a strong sense of community, and that is super powerful. And so sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Christopher. I'm product manager for Common Stack. For those who don't know me, and I'm building this open source system, Praise. And this our mission is this, that we would like to bring this power of praise into the digital world, sort of. Because we really believe in the power of praise, and we believe that when we made the transition to an ever more digital world, we sort of lost that power on the way. It's been in chat tools, etc. So now we're stuck in sort of a world of polarization, tribalism, and meta crisis, and meaning crisis, and our mission is to bring that warm, pink, nice power of praise back into the digital world. So that's why we have designed this tool, this reward system that we call Praise. That encourages community members to recognize each other's contributions. And it's a reward system that can recognize contributions made on any platform. So it's not only on Discord. They can, contributions made outside of any platform can be recognized as well. And the key here is that the community members, they praise each other's contributions in a completely decentralized way. So it's a completely bottom-up and not a top-down solution. Sort of it creates a bottom-up value system somehow, which is super interesting. Sort of the community decides by themselves what to value instead of the regular setup when it's a completely top-down value system. So not only do praise increase cooperation and create this sense of community, but we believe it also creates or nurtures, at least it contributes to creating a culture of giving and gratitude. And it creates a really rich source of data, which can be used for so many things. So it can be used for community insight, like a source of information about who does what, and in general, what is the community working on as a whole. We can see it as an activity feed. So if you're away for 2 weeks and then come back to the community, you read the praise feed to get up to date. We can find out stuff like how many active contributors do we have. And of course, we can use it as a source of monetary or token rewards, which is in the case with Giveth. All contributors that contribute to Giveth and gets praised will get give tokens for their contributions. The process of praising, or the praise tool, works in these four steps. So it's praising, quantifying, analyzing, and then distributing. And I'll briefly each one of those. Praising is really simple. Praise is mainly a Discord bot, if you view it from a user perspective. That is the main way for you as a user or as a community member to interact with the you type this praise user for contribution, as simple as that. And on the screen here you see some examples of how that can look. So praise Drugadas for your patience and persistence in blah blah blah, and praise a number of people here for joining a SoftGov, which is a meeting. So this is a piece of the praise feed from the Token Engineering Commons. So currently we have a Discord bot, but more platforms are planned in the future. Would be second on the list. The second step in the praise process is a quantification, which is also a super important step, and that is the step where a pool of volunteers try to assign value to all these praise items. They try to determine, like, was this praise, the contribution mentioned in this praise, was it a really small contribution or was it a really large contribution? If it was a really large contribution, it should have a high praise score. If it was a small contribution, it should have a low score. So each praise is being quantified by a few quantifiers to get an average and avoid personal bias, etc. And so the mission of the quantifier is basically turning this subjective qualitative praise data into quantitative rewards, and it's difficult, but cultural practices evolve over time in this quantifier community to do this important work in a good way. So I think Franco will tell you, ask all of you to sign up as quantifier, but it's actually quite fun. And the quantifiers will get paid for their work. So basically you're getting paid for learning about the community. So you read all these praise and try to quantify them and get paid at the same time. The third step is the analyzing step, where the quantification is closed and we have a look at the praise data generated and for one, look at the quantifications to see how the quantifiers have done their job. Are there any anomalies or weirdnesses, something that needs correction? In the scoring, because there always, when there's money or tokens involved, there is a risk of gaming and biases, etc. So we have to have a critical look at the scoring data, and we also try to find out these community-based insights, like how many active contributors do we have, and so on. So we generate a bunch of reports, basically, that I believe will be posted to your forum once the quantification period is done. And then the final step is the distribution step, where this the praise scores, basically in the end you end up with a list of users with the scores, community members. Every community member will have a score, and that score is converted using a formula into a give distribution. And the formula is really simple. If you have 1% of the period praise score, means that you will get 1% of that period distribution budget. So it's a really straight distribution. And the team managing all that will be the rewards team that Franco will tell you a little bit more about in a bit. And now let's do a fairly short demo. I will basically just show you how to get activated and use the praise bot, and maybe a few seconds in the praise dashboard just for fun. So let's see. I have Discord up here. I am connected to the praise test server, and I will be interacting with the praise bot right here by typing praise. I will praise my other user here and say something. I will say hi. So this is how your first interaction with the praise system would look, unless you have activated your account already. And now the bot tells me account not activated. So you need to, in order to be able to praise, you need to activate your account. And activating your account means connecting a Ethereum wallet to linking an Ethereum wallet to your praise account or to your Discord account. Because without knowing your Ethereum wallet, we will not be able to send you any rewards later. So we have made that a requirement that you need to activate before you get to praise. So I will type /activate, and I will follow the instructions here. So it gives me a link that I will click on. That takes me to the praise dashboard, and you have one running for Giveth as well. And there I will sign an activation message with MetaMask. I don't believe you saw my MetaMask popping up, but it did. And now it says your Discord account has been activated, and I can close this tab. So I go back here and I try again, praising Christopher, and hi. Let's see if things go better this time. Yay. So this time I was able to praise, and I also get this first time praiser message that you will see only one time, that gives you a link to a section of the documentation website where you can read some more. There's some general good practices when it comes to praising, so it could be worth following that link and reading that. So just for fun, let me show you around the praise dashboard a little bit, how it looks. So now I'm logged in here as an administrator. To start with, I can just reload this page, and you will see that the praise I just sent pops up here. And this praise has not been quantified yet, but let's go and have a look at older periods. We do quantifications in periods. That will be, I believe, 2-week periods. And this is data from the TEC. So here in the praise dashboard, you will be able to see, all the praise receivers, the people that got praised, all the quantifiers that did the work of quantifying. You can see here that did everyone finish their job. One person apparently didn't, and you can view some basic analytics about the praise period, like which were the top 10 praise most highly scored, etc. Who were like the top praise receivers, the top praise givers. How was the score distributed? How did the quantifiers do their job? Were there any disagreements between the quantifiers lastly? So this is an interesting thing to look at, where there is high disagreement in the scoring. That could be a cause for having a discussion in between the quantifiers once you are done. So that is how it looks when a period is closed and finished. And also I just like to quickly show you how it looks for a quantifier. So in this case, I have been assigned as a quantifier for this June period. So I'll click here, and this takes me to the quantification interface where I can complete my task as a quantifier. So clicking on a user here brings up all the praise that user have received during this period. And my task here is to read all these praise items and then pull this little slider and select a score from 1 till 144, where 1 represents the smallest possible contribution and 144 the biggest possible contribution. So it's a logarithmic scale, and with the purpose of there should be like a fairly long distance between the smallest score and the highest score, so that it has a number of good reasons that I won't go into just now. And as a quantifier, I can also mark several praise, and for instance, I can dismiss them if I, for some reason, regard them as out of context or out of scope for the giveth praise system, or they contain not enough information to quantify at all. And I can also mark praise items as duplicates, because the general rule is that you only get one praise refers to one contribution, and you only get a score once for a contribution. But you can get a small percentage if there are duplicate praise items referring to the same contribution. You will get a small percentage of the original score for the following ones. So that praise does not become a popularity contest if you would get the same amount of praise for each praise referring to the same contribution. Sorry. What's more to say? Yeah, let me just show you quickly an example of how these analytics could look. I showed you in the slides, but this is how the TEC has done their post-quant analytics. They have created a forum post with some basic stats, which users got what rewards. This top 10 list is there as well, and they also link to the full period analysis here, where you can read some basically fairly similar analytics to the ones integrated in the dashboard, but this digs a little bit deeper into the data. And here you can also easily create your own custom analysis. I think that is about it. That is what I was planning to talk about today, and so I'll pass it to Franco, and then we can take questions after he's talked about the rewards team, etc.
Yeah, thank you, Christopher, so much. First of all, I just want to thank everyone as well for being here. And yeah, if you could go to the Miro board, so we can share the results of the last rewards meeting we had. This is something that Rachel put together. Thank you, Rachel. It's just what has been talked in the last meeting that we had. So yeah, we're just gonna share a little bit of what's going on in the rewards team. First of all, just to announce that the official rewards team is Nicola, Per, Danny, Matteo, and myself. So we're going to be the 5 rewards team members. So I'm going to be the lead, and I'm going to be in charge of basically recruiting everyone as a quantifier. So I'll probably be asking all of you to just say I or me if you want to be contribute to be a quantifier, because we're going to need a lot of people for this. And yeah, I'm just going to be a kind of reference for any questions that you have about the process as well. Matteo is going to be more on the technical side of it, helping with the minting of the tokens and the distribution, which is something, that he knows best. I don't know that much about that. And then if you go down a little bit, we're going to have a cultural analyst. We've decided that Danny is going to take the role as a cultural analyst. I'm not sure yet how the analysis work, but I think this is something that we're going to discover as we move on with the reward process. So yeah, if you go down, this is the decisions or the things we've talked about in the meeting. So as far as the goals for the praise in our community, we decided, or like, yeah, we came together to this idea of like, we think that the praise system is the goal of the praise system is to build a culture of gratitude, create positive relationships between members, reward casual contributors who work spontaneously. So it's a good system as well for people who kind of like show up and they want to contribute in small ways, and you can praise them and they'll get rewards like tokens that it can exchange for money later, or stake, or be like make them a part of the community. And reward actions that add value to the community, obviously. Who can give praise? Everyone is invited, but for now we have the giver role to be assigned manually. We might change that later, we don't know, but for the moment, it's anyone who wants to praise, they can do it in the praise channel. They'll have like this message that they don't have a role, they can do it, and they can ask for it manually. The feature of the channels, you can praise in every channel except for the threads, but in any other channel you can dish your praise. And we have decided that the forum is going to be the place, same as the TEC, to put the results of the analysis. As in governance, as I mentioned before, me, Mateo, Claire, Nicole, and Danny are going to be in the team. The token for the rewards is going to be a gift. This was discussed before, and the periods are going to have a 2-week duration. Who are the quantifiers? So this is the thing that I'm probably going to start to work on today. I just need to get everyone as a quantifier. Being a quantifier, basically, what it means, or what I need from you, is just to tell me that you want to be eventually a quantifier, and I'll assign you the role in the praise dashboard, and then the system automatically selects like random people for each period. So maybe sometimes you're going to be a quantifier, maybe sometimes you're not going to be a quantifier. It's like a random system that the praise dashboard does. So as long as I have a big pool, like maybe 20 of us, every unicorn is invited to participate. And then the system does the rest of the work. It will basically automatically select the quantifiers. So we're going to have 4 quantifiers per praise. That means that if in a period we have, as long as I have a big pool, like 150 instances of praise, we're going to need 4 people to go over the same amount of praise, so they can match the scores that they put to the instances. And then as for the percentages for duplicates, every time the same instance is a duplicate or got the same praise twice, it just adds a 10% value to the original score that has been given to the. This is a decision that we took from the TEC. This is the way they do it. So basically, the amount that is allocated to each period, it's going to be 90% going to go to the praise receivers, and then the rest, the 7%, is going to go to the quantifiers, and then 3% is going to go to the rewards team for the work. So it's this is the way that it's going to be. So this is what I wanted to share with you, as well as the next steps. So the next step is basically fetching all the data from. Sorry?
I definitely thought about that, because I was working with a company, or like when I was working in VC, we invested in one company that did that in Spain, and I got super fascinated on like all of that, and I think it could be a great way to kind of like to tell these designers and to provide them the resources, but then also provide them a reward, right? I think.
Okay, sorry. I think she had the mic on. So for the next steps, so what's needed to do is fetching all the data since November last year, and then matching the users and the data to like the prices to the users, because they're not registered on the current dashboard. And this is a work that's going to be done by Christopher and someone from the DevOps, I guess. And then just creating the pool of quantifiers so we can start. And that's the news that we have. I can go through just give some guidelines about how to do excellent praise. There's a documentation that I'm going to share with you. It's also available when you activate your praise account. But oh yeah, there you go. Thank you. So yeah, this is some guidelines. Basically, just be specific as much as possible. It's whenever you want to describe the impact of the contribution, whether it's personal or for the community, just do it. Describe it as much as possible. Always try to refer to one single contribution. If you have like two instances that you want to praise, do it in separate praises, so they can be scored separately. And yeah, if you like, just give as much context for the contribution as you can. And yeah, and then it says there, there's two types of praises, which is objective and subjective. Objective is just it's a simple, factual action. It's something like retweeting or just like attending to a call. So this shouldn't be hard. But if the praise you're trying to give is subjective, and you think it's like creating an impact, like personal impact or impact for the community, just try to express as much as possible and be as specific as possible. So it's easier for the quantifiers to give value or to score the praise instance. And yeah, that's it. I can open the floor for questions if anyone has any questions. No? Okay. So this is what we got on the praise system for now. And yeah, thank you, Christopher, and thank you everyone for coming. I don't know if you want to add anything.
I have a question. I'm curious, something that I've been wondering about, and maybe having some people from the comment stack here, maybe there's some. I feel a lot of the time that there's a lot of people who get seen for what they're doing in the community a lot, and they receive a lot of praise. And then there's also people in the community who do more work behind the scenes that don't get seen as much for what they're doing, and they don't receive as much praise, even though they're contributing just as much, if not more value to the community. And I'm curious if the comment stack has any ways that they could advise how we could create some sort of balance between these two groups of people, because I know we used to use SourceCred for a while, and now I think the decision is not to use it. So I'm just curious if there's any ways that, or any kind of systems in place or things that you might know about that we could use to make sure that the picture that's being depicted by praise is actually fair to what's being produced.
It is difficult. I agree to that. And I think what seems to work best, or where I see the TC trying, is to do different kind of cultural practices, like constantly reminding people of the importance of praising contributions that you see. So you have to get started with these establishing this culture of always praising contributions you see. But in general, extroverts versus introverts, the more extroverted people tend to be seen more and also to speak out more than maybe more introvert people, and that is in all layers of society is a difficult thing, where introverts perhaps is not as good as negotiating up their salary as extroverts, or and so on. So it's a constant, something you constantly have to work on, I would say, to constantly remind people and try to create cultural practices that ensure that this becomes as equal as, or equitable as possible.
Sounds like a job for a cultural analyst.
I was also wondering if maybe like some of the rewards team couldn't, I don't know, be like praise sprinklers or people who do see, I guess it's just more encouraging people to praise what they see behind the scenes more and creating that culture.
Do you have like working group stewards?
Yes.
Because then it could be, it could be added as maybe a responsibility for stewards or facilitators or people takes on a little bit more responsibility of, reminding people in their teams, or making it a practice if they have like daily stand-ups or regular meetings, and like, okay, and we have done that quite a lot in both Common Stack and TEC, that we start meetings, some meetings with like, okay, now let's just take 5 minutes to praise. Because we know that no one has had time to think about this in a busy week. So let's just take these 5 minutes and just silently really enjoy that. I don't know if you have been doing that in Giveth as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. We do it in our community call only, but I suppose at least in some of our other community stuff we could, or if people wanted to, I don't know. I guess we'd all have to get on the same page, right? Or if we have some calls where we do that in the more based community calls, or I don't know, something to think about anyways. Thanks for your advice.
One data point that you get when viewing praise in the dashboard and doing analytics afterwards is the channel where the praise was sent. So if you were to instruct working groups or teams to use their own channel when praising, you can follow. The cultural analyst can actually look afterwards and see which channels, which working groups were active in praising and which were not, and then you would know where to direct your efforts of encouraging some working groups to praise more, for instance.
That's really great feedback. Being able to trace usage through the channels, and I'm assuming that's something that you guys have learned over time with the TEC. As I realize, both Token Engineering and Common Stack and Giveth all have come up with a culture of praise already. I'm wondering if there are other things that you've seen come up in the TEC that you're excited to have another group like Giveth coming on board, that we can monitor and see if there's things we can validate or provide a greater data set for.
Get Giveth on board, because you have such a vibrant community and also have been using praise for a long time. So it's the best thing that can happen to praise, and I'm sure that we will come across when we do an analysis on the data, that we will find new interesting things. And I would also like to say that there is also a danger in praising, encouraging praising in team channels. And that is that, some steward, some facilitator takes on this task really thoroughly and instructs the crew in that channel to okay, now we will start this meeting. Everyone will send 5 praise each. And it turns out that was that might skew the whole praise period, because one working group or one team made it daily practice to really send praise. So in the end, they account for 50% of the total praise data, which would be weird as well. So it's as always, there are no simple solutions to these complex problems, other than continue talking to each other and massaging this creature constantly, but it's fun work.
So grateful for all the work that you all have done to bring this to where it is right now, that not only can we implement it at Giveth, but share it out into other cultures that are looking to model after us.
I've got one more question. I'm pretty sure the answer to this is no, but group praise is not really an option ever, right? It just, again, thinking about Ashley's question, if we know that the dev team was just working overtime to get this one launch out now, and now it's been successful, and maybe many people in the organization don't know the individual names of the people on that team, but they want to give a team praise, right, for significant events. I know from a accounting standpoint that can probably get complicated, so that's not an option in any case, right?
That is not an option currently, and I would quite strongly argue for that group praising is just what praise should not be about, but instead actually contributing the actual contribution from the actual person that made the contribution, that is much more, that creates a signal of much higher quality than if group praising would be, a high percentage of the praise would be group praising. Then the quality of the signal is quite low because you don't really know who did what ever. Instead, you have like this chunked big praise. They're also difficult to quantify. Did really all the persons in this working group do they deserve to have the highest score for launching this new feature, or was it someone actually wasn't there that week? And it's it's difficult. I like your personal praising.
That makes sense. Thanks.
And I think it could be wise as well to try, not to forbid multi-recipient praise, but trying to encourage people to, as little as possible, actually do multi-recipient praise. But instead, stop a second and think: do you really know that all these 3 people did this thing? And in the TC, there has been situations where people try to get out of being praised and like, no, I didn't do that thing. It was, it was a 3 people praise, and I took a backseat. I just happened to be in on that meeting or whatever. It was those other 2 who made the actual contribution.
Yeah, that was another question of mine. It's like, what happens if I am getting praised for things that I didn't actually do? Is there a way to report that, or is that just micro?
No. Yeah, currently there is no way of escaping your praise.
But you can pass it on, right? Like if you receive praise and or somebody else actually contributed to that, you get to then acknowledge those other people, right? It seems to me, we talk a lot about our roles and the roles that people hold, and praise really actually is the other side of that. It's the soul. It's who are the people that are contributing in all these different ways, whether it's in their role or they don't have a role. So I think it's a really nice thing to look at that. Like you can look at when you receive praise for something, at who contributed to you getting that praise, and then pass it on and recognize them as well.
Now, let's monitor this closely over the first quantification periods and see what comes up, what needs arises. There, we have a long list of potential cool features when it comes to quantifications and all that stuff. Like, and some of it we will implement, and some of it we will not have resources or time or to do. Like, for instance, like quantifiers trying to quantify a praise, but the praise is vague. Maybe the quantifier should be able to, click a button asking the initial praise giver, like, and could you clarify? And then the praise giver gets a message from the bot, like, Mitch, the quantifier is asking you to clarify. What did you mean by saying that Griff is a cool guy? What kind of contribution is that? And stuff like that. So let's try to identify all these detailed use cases of how to make the process even better. Like maybe there should be a function for you to be able to actually pass on your praise to someone else. Now you can do it. Of course, you can. If you get praised, you can praise someone else and say, "I praise someone for doing this thing that I didn't do." But there is no guarantee that connection stays on in the quantification, because those 2 praise could be quantified by different quantifiers. So there's no guarantee that you actually escape your praise score if you feel that you got praise for something that you didn't do currently. It seems like we have run out of questions. Is that right? And do we have anything else?
I guess maybe more so for Franco, like what are next steps for the rewards team members, and are we just to be kind of on the lookout for when we start signing up for quantification, or what does the process look like for that going forward now that we've had this demo?
Yeah, I'll probably just send out a message asking for anyone who wants to sign up, and then I can just give you the quantifier role in the praise dashboard, and then you're automatically like in the quantifier pool. So until we start with the first period, there's no much to be done like by the quantifiers. Once we get all the data from to do the retrospective quantification for the praise that was sorry, Christopher, could you help me with this? I think you were explaining this to me because like the data you need to fetch is from November last year, so this is like what needs to be worked first in order so we can start quantifying, right?
Yeah. So we have a praise backlog to work our way through before we get back to present date. So the main two things that needs to be performed just now is that we need to import all that old praise data using the old praise port and import that old praise data into the current system. And that takes some manual work of cleaning that data, or not cleaning, but identifying all the Discord users that have since November last year changed usernames, because we don't have like real anything else to go on than the username. So it's a bit of detective work to identify their current names, because we need their current names to import them into the praise system, so they, no one that has been praised, that they don't lose their praise. So that work needs to be done, and at the same time we need to recruit quantifiers, a bunch, like 20 people at least. And once we have a fair group of quantifiers ready, we will and the praise data is imported, we will schedule the first quantification. And then most likely we will choose to quantify a fairly small period of time, maybe a week only, so that we can that the workload really is small for the quantifiers, and then we do a thorough post-quant analysis session, a discussion afterwards, where we discuss scoring and etc. And we will keep the period open so that quantifiers can go back if someone accidentally gave out the high score to all praise receivers, which tend to happen, not completely, but yeah, somewhat. And then we'll, after that, get into a flow of quantifying. I think Mitch suggested, or we haven't decided on that, I don't know, that we would try to push quite hard in the beginning and then try to quantify like 1 month worth of praise every week until we get back to present day. And then the flow would be, quantifying 2 weeks, every 2 weeks.
I think that's the best way, but I'll leave it to Franco. But yeah, you probably want to catch up as quick as possible.
We'll try. Yes.
Do we have any sort of idea at all how soon we can begin?
As soon as I can get at least 20 people, I guess we can, Christopher said that we can schedule like a first session, like a small period, just as a tryout and see how it goes. So anyone who's in this call, do I have your permission to add you as a quantifier? If you say yes, then I'll add you.
Yes, please.
Cool.
Also, what does it mean that when you add us to the praise dashboard, what does that mean?
So if you've activated your account on the praise channel, then that means that your user is already on the praise dashboard. You're an active user of the praise system.
So it basically means that Franco will go into the praise dashboard and open up your user and check this checkbox saying quantifier. And that means that once quantifiers are assigned, you are eligible to be assigned, basically. But I'd say we can have the old praise data imported into the system, hopefully during next week. So then maybe the week after we can do the first quantification.
Perfect. Thank you, Christopher.
Yeah, thank you so much for putting on this demo for us. I think that we've all been waiting for this moment for a while now to try out the new version and get that in here. So it's quite impressive, and I look forward to testing it out and seeing what we can learn from it. There was a request in the chat to maybe share the link to the slides from the beginning. So if you wanted to share that in the chat here.
Sure. Well, which chat would that be? This chat.
Yeah, like up in the right-hand corner, you'll see a little like chat thing, and there's Discord has now made voice channel chat.
Yeah. I'll do that. I'll find it later. But I maybe cannot find it later because when we close this chat, it's gone, right?
No, it won't disappear. It will still be here.
Okay, cool. Then I'll post it later.
Okay.
Thank you, Christopher.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much,
Thank you so
everyone.
much, and thank you everyone for coming. Bye.
Yeah.